What's up, guys? So the next subject that I wanted to talk about is supplies. So what sort of supplies would be needed or should I have if I'm going to be drawing the human figure? And there's a lot of choices out there, but what are some choices that Elijah here recommends? And so what I would say is I kind of would break this up into almost 3 groups or maybe even 2 groups. So the first group being more of a basics. So, and I'll put this full list in here so you can take full advantage of it. But this is just a general's charcoal. I think this is a pack of its compressed charcoal sticks. There's about 12 sticks in there. So I would recommend this as kind of your base for that. One key thing about that is you want to sharpen it down to get like sandpaper or some sort of thing, and sharpen that down to some sort of point that you can use your whole motion of your arm with. So that's one I would recommend. Another would be this China marker, and they are just by Sharpie. You can see here. So these are really nice. Again, you can pull this sort of end down, and then again you want to be able to get some sort of point, and you'll be able to draw that way. Again, the nice thing about these versus the charcoal, it's not very messy, it's pretty clean, and again, it would be sort of the black is what I would recommend for that. So check that out. The next one, as far as just pencils and those sort of things, is when you're drawing, is these Mars pencils. Let me get the right side for you. Yeah, there you go. So it's a lithograph pencil. And just black for that one. And the thing that's nice about these is for those that like more of a pencil feel to it, this is sort of a cousin of the China markers, is that just being in a pencil form. They have real big thick lead, and then again you want to be able to sharpen these to a decent point so you can work through that. But just at Mars, oh, and I almost forgot, you're looking at 8B is what you're after. It's too close, a little blurry, but you're looking at 8B for these lithograph pencils. So Mars lithograph. The next thing that you're probably looking at is when you're in terms of what to purchase and those sort of things, is that this is just kind of your Blick newsprint. You're looking at something like this. 100 sheets is efficient. If you're going to do this and just really hit into it, you can buy them in huge packs of, I think, up to 500. But this is just your regular old newsprint, 30-pound paper. The reason is because this is just, it's cheap paper, and you can just pound through a bunch of this really quickly to be able to. And the other thing is it's a large surface. The larger your surface, the better. And so I would recommend something like this. Now, along with that, you're probably also looking at getting a drawing board like this. Now, you can set up you can actually get sort of a drawing horse to clip this all together, and so that's one thing that I work off of, is having a drawing horse and setting this aside on my drawing horse. But it's not necessarily a requirement. You can put 2 chairs together in a way that sort of facing each other, so that you can lay your easel on one end and obviously you're sitting on the other end. So that would be one sort of group of work. And for me personally, my favorite would be the Mars and the China markers. I like them the best. They're not very messy and those sort of things. But if you have no problem with the mess, then go into your charcoal. The compressed charcoal is a great option. And then using the newsprint. Again, the newsprint, you're looking at size 18 by 24, and that size will really help you understand the human form the best. The larger, the better. Now, with that being said, if you're more an advanced person and you do your human forms, your figures pretty well, then you might be looking in a different direction. And so if that's kind of fits your mold, this is basically just your Strathmore mixed media. And I would use something like this for like my my pen, or pens or markers and those sort of things, which were great because pens and markers, there's sort of this permanent feel. Same thing with these pencils here, this China marker, is that there's a permanent feel to it because you want to be able to feel the intensity of that line, and so that's why those are really great options. But if you're looking at something like this, again, I would lean towards a larger format of paper, and you can see how large this is. So about 11 by 14 is what you're looking at. It's a heavier paper, so almost 100 pounds. But even then, if you're working with markers, you will still, probably what you'll do is you'll take out one of these sheets, and that you will use as kind of a backing because the markers and those sort of things will bleed through just a little bit. But that gives you a little bit to work with. So yeah, this is the one I would suggest if you're thinking more of a marker. The nice thing about this also, before we kind of move on, is that it's easy to carry into, if in terms of doing life drawing, or even if you're drawing from references that you printed off, you want to be able to, go to the cafe or go to a restaurant and draw people in their environment, go to the park, wherever it may be. And you want to be able to experience, again, back to that empathy that I talked about in my previous videos, of just how to put yourself in their setting, in their experience, in their humanity. So that gives you sort of a great option to be able to carry around in different places. So another group of tools that I would recommend is, get them all organized here, is just your Sharpie markers. These are kind of your, these are your fine tipped or fine point. Just regular old Sharpie markers. I think these are no more than $2 or that sort of thing. So the next ones, along with the Sharpie bit, is these ultra fines. These are really good tools to be able to ultra fine. I'll just pop this up here so you have an idea. But ultra fine, you can see how I'll show you how small this point is. Ooh, look at my muscles here, so you can see how small that is. So, but that gives you plenty of to work with as well. And another group of pens is this Zig, sort of a metallic. I'll put this description there. And that just gives you sort of a different color, different energy. This is more of a brush pen. Again, some sort of brush pen that will give you some sort of energy to your work. Okay. These three are calligraphy pens. So Y and C calligraphy. And I have different sizes here. Sorry, I may have shown that too quickly. But I have different sizes here. I have a 3.5, a 5, and a 2. And so you can get different, let me go to the 5 so you can see that one. So you can get different widths of your line that you're making. So that can give you a lot of different expressions. So calligraphy pens, they work really well. Another one, two that I really like to use is these Coptic markers. These Coptic markers, they're really high quality, and you're like, oh my gosh, that's like $5 a marker, and it is. It's not a cheap little tool, but it is something that will last you a long while. So if you think about it this way, where you might spend, let's see here, I throw them around. You might spend $5 on these pencils here, and that will last you maybe a year. But this sort of thing, this can last you a number of years, and you can look on the internet just how long. But I think I've seen someone last say that I've used this every day, and it's lasted me 10 years. So these Coptic markers, this is a W5, so it's a warm gray. I like that to be able to do some of my underdrawing and just trying to solve the human form and come up with my balance and rhythm and those sort of things. So this is a really good tool. And then I also have a YR15, and the YR15 is basically just gives me another color to work with to maybe, if I get the sort of the human form in, sort of the torso and the hips together, that maybe I'll just shade that in, and I'll shade it in with a slightly different color. So that's the YR15. So those are the supplies that I would kind of recommend. starting off. Again, I would lean more towards maybe the pencil or the charcoal or the China markers than necessarily the pen, especially if you're just starting out and you know that where you want to go, and you know that you want to really improve your work. Then I would be looking at those sort of before I would be looking at like your markers and your pens and your Sharpies and those sort of things. These can be really nice in terms of being able to go out in the field, if you will, and that's very convenient. But that can be sometimes you want to, maybe it's best to just get one of these small workbooks like this and just use your pencil in that too. Again, you're not after the quality of your work, you're after the quantity of it. So hopefully you found that helpful. And again, here in a short few days, we'll be launching our workshop and giving you more information about how to participate in that workshop. We believe that it's going to be an incredible experience, and we want to share that with you at whatever level that you ultimately end up experiencing it. So we look forward to sharing that with you. And until next time, have a blessed day, and we'll catch you later.